All right, my good people, welcome back to the channel. This is Unnecessary Rambling. I am Brandon Sylvia, and today we are going to be talking about the 2023 Summer Game Fest Showcase, recapping everything that was announced there, or trying to recap everything that was announced there. I tried to, when I was jotting everything down, I tried to separate between the games that felt like they were, paid sponsorships versus the games that were actually being showcased off at the show, and it's hard to do that because everything is essentially an advertisement, but I don't know, you can kind of feel the difference. So I tried my best to feel that out and include only the games that felt, showcase material, if you will. And I don't mean to be rude there, but I hope you can kind of understand what I'm saying there. But yeah, the showcase overall, it's a big 2-hour event, and you know from the past Summer Games Fest showcases that there's going to be quite a bit of advertising going on in there, and so that is to be expected. I wasn't going in expecting absolutely from hour or minute 1 to hour 2 just packed with gameplay and packed with big games that were going to be announced. I will say I think I did set my expectations slightly too high for this showcase, or maybe way too high for this showcase. If you go back and look at my predictions for the PlayStation Showcase, I think that was a lot more fair and a lot more reasonable. My predictions for this showcase, which we'll get to at the end of the show, was way out of whack. I don't know what the hell I was thinking on that. Now, I'll take that L. But overall, I didn't think the showcase was horrible. I thought there was enough really solid shit in there and shit we hadn't seen yet, and just little updates for big titles that are like highly anticipated that we saw like more gameplay on and just got a deeper dive into things that we already knew about. So I didn't think the showcase was horrible. It's weird because with the PlayStation Showcase, I had so many complaints for that showcase that could probably still apply here, but so for one, you had the 2-year wait with the PlayStation Showcase, and 2 years ago in 2021, that was the showcase where we had KOTOR, Wolverine, Spider-Man 2, and God of War, I believe. So that showcase was just loaded. And so your expectations are kind of set there going into the next one. And then obviously the one from a couple weeks ago or whatever definitely did not meet those expectations or anything even close to it. And then as well, like you're looking at Summer Game Fest, the showcase, as an industry-wide third-party event, PC, Switch, Xbox, PlayStation. It's games that are coming everywhere, and it's hard to really gauge what you're going to expect from this style of showcase. And overall, like if you stacked up the PlayStation Showcase and you just compared it showcase to showcase, the PlayStation Showcase might have had more like big announcements than Summer Games Fest, but I think it was just horrendous as a PlayStation Showcase, like getting me excited to be in this ecosystem. I definitely did not leave that showcase feeling excited to be in the PlayStation ecosystem. With the just non-stop live service bombardment that we were being fucking waterboarded with there. But regardless, we're not here to talk about the PlayStation Showcase. I'm just trying to compare it, trying to give like my overall thoughts for where my grade would be, coming fresh. Like I literally just finished watching the showcase, coming fresh off the showcase. I think my grade would be somewhere in that same camp for what my PlayStation Showcase grade was. Like C minus ish. We'll go through every game revealed, and then I'll give my final grade after we go through everything, and just give an overall grade for this showcase. So let's go ahead and kick it off with the first game that was revealed, and I think this was a good expectation setter, a good tempo setter, and that was Prince of Persia: The Last Crown. Now, I don't really have a ton of interest in 2D Prince of Persia games, but I'm open to this possibly. I think it at least looked interesting, and I'm just excited to see Ubisoft doing something with this IP after the Sands of Time cancellation or the indefinite delay. I'm just glad that Prince of Persia is not totally dead to Ubisoft. I think at this moment, Prince of Persia and a lot of those other classic IP, Beyond Good and Evil, Splinter Cell, it's about time for some of those to make a real comeback and to freshen up that Ubisoft portfolio. So, game looked interesting. It had a release date for January 18th, 2024. So, yeah, it potentially something I'll check out. Next up, I was absolutely 100% sold on this game after watching this presentation here. Mortal Kombat 1. We got a gameplay deep dive. And for one, the just the cinematics and the story look fucking fantastic. We saw more of that as well, but the gameplay was really what was shown off here, and it looked exceptional. This new cameo system, which I'm not going to lie, it confuses me a little bit, but it still seems like a pretty sick twist on the fighting game, just moment to moment play, where you're essentially picking your main character and then you're picking a cameo character who you can use in battle from time to time. And in using them in battle and combining them with your main character, you create like new combos and new powers and new different moves you can pull off. And that's the exciting thing to me, just to see these kind of fusion abilities that you're able to use with these two cameo characters. And I think that could be really fucking cool if it's implemented correctly. We also got the announcement that Jean-Claude Van Damme is going to be voicing Johnny Cage here. So everything that was shown off just looked exceptional for this game. I haven't played Mortal Kombat in like a decade or so. So, I think this is Mortal Kombat 1 with the new universe and the new timeline that Ed Boon announced. Like, this is getting people like me who are lapsed fans, people who haven't checked out a Mortal Kombat game in a while, or just brand new fans. I think this is going to be a good onboarding experience, a good one to just jump into fresh. So I'm really excited to get back into the Mortal Kombat flow here with MK1, and I think that's releasing in September, if I'm not mistaken. And then next up, we had Path of Exile 2. I believe this was the first look at raw gameplay for this, Diablo-esque top-down action RPG. And it said you can find out more about that on July 28th. We then went into Street Fighter 6 with their collaboration with Exoprimal. Capcom doing some in-house collaborations here. And, you got Ryu fighting dinosaurs. Looks absolutely ridiculous. But hey, sure. Dead by Daylight, we had the one and only Nicolas Cage come out on stage, and I gotta say, for one, Nicolas Cage looked damn good. He looked healthy, looked young. Looked like he was still spry, ready to get out there and do some running around. And in Dead by Daylight, with him being the new Survivor character that you can play in the game. We saw some gameplay of it, and it's coming in July. We then move on to Season 3 of The Witcher. And the trailer looked pretty solid. I'm a little bit bummed out that this will be the final season with Henry Cavill. I loved Season 1. I thought Season 2 was pretty solid as well. I know some of the hardcore Witcher fans are like, man, this is way too much of a departure from the books, and I believe that was Henry Cavill's main complaint as well, and why he is exiting the franchise after Season 3 with Liam Hemsworth coming and playing Geralt from that point forward. That sucks, and I don't know if I'll continue with the series for Season 4, but I'm definitely going to watch Season 3. I believe it's releasing in it has like a staggered release. Part 1 is in mid or late June, and then I think Part 2 is in early July or mid-July. So, yeah, Season 3 of The Witcher. The trailer did look pretty good, in my opinion, though. Then we move into Witchfire. We saw this a while ago. This is a first-person, looks like a very heavy metal magic first-person shooter, frenetic gameplay, and it's launching in early access this September. Then we had Remnant 2. This is the first game is absolutely beloved. The second one looks badass. This third person shooter, very very brutal. The trailer showed off great location variety, which is one of my favorite things in game trailers. If you can just show off some solid locations, just quick shots, you don't need to overly spoil anything, but just some quick shots to let the player know you're going to be seeing a lot of cool environments with some cool enemy diversity. And this trailer, it looked damn good. We then move into another big shock in the 2D realm, Sonic Superstars, throwing it back to the 2D Sonic games. And the only thing I could really say about Sonic Superstars is it looked surprisingly slow for a Sonic game. I don't know if that's just, I'm not a humongous Sonic fan at all, but from the Sonic games of my childhood, I remember them looking much faster than Sonic Superstars. But yeah, it's launching fall 2023. You're getting to play as some of the iconic cast members from Sonic and running around in some 2D spaces. Then we had Honkai Star Rail. This is the Genshin Impact. The developers from Genshin Impact, their next big RPG with some turn-based battles and shit going on here. I'm fairly certain that the monetization elements of this will be egregious, but I gotta say, some of the like cinematic shots of the character in the boxing ring and shit, or the MMA ring from this trailer did look at least appealing to me. But yeah, launching Q4 on PlayStation 5. We then move into Lies of P, finally getting that official release date for September 19th with a demo available now. Getting that Pinocchio Souls action going on. I think this game looks incredible, man. I'm totally over the Souls style of games at this point, but you can't deny that this looks unique within that genre. The main thing for me that I'm the most curious about is I remember at some point they were talking about you could make decisions that would like impact some of the combat and some of the abilities that you could get later on in the game, if I'm not mistaken. I could be just fucking, that could have been a dream that popped up in my damn head, but I remember saying that there was like some narrative tie to making decisions. I was like, oh dude, that's a great new spin for the Souls genre. But yeah, this trailer in particular didn't look incredible, but I do think the game overall is one of the more interesting looking Souls games. Very much taking inspiration from Bloodborne, obviously, but I think it's still unique in what it's trying to do, giving you, being fucking this Pinocchio character in a dark, twisted world. Like, that alone and the environments alone are selling me on the game, and the fact it's coming to Game Pass so I don't have to pay for it. I'll definitely check this thing out. And then we have what is probably my game of the show, Sandland. This is from the creator of Dragon Ball, and it's being built on Unreal Engine 5. I don't know anything about the manga that this is attached to, but this trailer looks fucking amazing. You guys know I like a lot of variety in my games, and you got a lot of cool shit going on with the gameplay here. You got some hovercraft action taking place. You got vehicles that you're traversing around these open world environments, and you got mechs. You got third person quick action combat. I'm definitely keeping my eye on this. Like I said, I'm not an anime guy. I'm not I don't know anything about the source material at all, but the variety that was shown off here, the art style was incredible. Everything about this trailer, I was like absolutely on board for, and I believe they're working in tandem with Bandai Namco on this. So there's definitely some pedigree there as well with Bandai publishing it. So my expectations are high for this, and this was a big shocking surprise for me, a game that I know nothing about at all being my game of the show, or probably being my game of the show. Absolutely looking forward to seeing more on Sandland. And then we had a Annapurna teasing a new Annapurna showcase that is taking place on June 29th. And from this tease, what I make of it is that Stray is probably coming to Xbox, and that'll be shown off at this showcase on the 29th. It also seemed like we're going to be getting some new content for the Outer Wilds. I don't know, a DLC or I mean, if it's a sequel, that will, I think, set the world on fire. I think Devolver, if I'm not mistaken, is working with Suda51 on a new game. I could be wrong on that, but there was something in here that looked very Suda51-esque with the art style. But I think that I'm pretty sure Devolver is working with Suda51 and not Annapurna Interactive. Once again, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, you also had here Thirsty Suitors. Got a little bit of a little glimpse at Thirsty Suitors. Bounty Star, the new mech game, they also ended up teasing that. So I'm thinking that Thirsty Suitors and Bounty Star will be revealed at that June 29th showcase, both getting dates. The only thing that I'm wondering about is both of those games are announced for Game Pass, if I'm not mistaken. So I wonder if they'll pop up at the Xbox showcase and then also at the Annapurna Interactive on June 29th. But I'll definitely be watching that, and I'll talk about it in some form or fashion because there's a lot of games there that I'm very curious about. We then move on into Throne and Liberty. This is a MMO from NCSoft and Amazon. And look, I refuse to commit to like MMOs or service games or anything that's going to feel like a part-time job, but I will say at the very least, this looks different from most of the other MMO games on the market. You can transform into animals on the fly. That to me, that style of just unique game design is typically not something that I associate with MMOs or, ongoing service games, but I'll say that very much stood out to me. I thought the world shots that they had here were compelling and looked a little bit more of something that would be up my alley. But really, the star of that announcement was just swapping between these different fucking animals on the fly and flying around as a damn bird and shit, almost kind of Chia-esque in its nature. So, yeah, Throne and Liberty. We then moved on into Warhaven, and this is another MMO that definitely didn't have that kind of it factor, that one surprising, shocking feature that separates it from the other games in its genre. And this next one here is a biggie. We got a ton of information on Alan Wake 2. Sam Lake came out on stage and gave some details on the game. He opened it up and called it Remedy's first survival horror game, which I love them really focusing in on that. With Alan Wake 1, I mean, technically I would say somewhat qualifies as a survival horror game, but them really leaning into this being the real survival horror title, I find that very interesting. I find that detail very interesting. You have two separate playable characters in Alan Wake 2 that you can swap between, and it said that, or Sam Lake said that there's some choice with who you swap to in the game. It seems like you're going to be getting the option to make some sort of choices that like swapping between the characters could maybe impact the narrative at certain times. I'm just kind of assuming there, but it sounds like you're gonna get to make some decisions in old Alan Wake 2. So that I'm very, very curious to hear more on that. But yeah, it's got this cultist ritualistic murder vibe going on. It's very much you're feeling the True Detective season 1 vibes going on there as you're playing as this FBI agent. I forget the lady's name, but the main female protagonist is an FBI agent, and she also has like a partner that's accompanying her, and you very much feel that they showed like a full raw gameplay look at Alan Wake 2, and you very much feel from that this is taking inspiration from the Resident Evil remakes, the RE2 and RE4, RE3. Like it looks very, very similar to those games, and I'm absolutely on board for that. You even to the fact where you see like these jump scare surprise interactions that feel very much like Mr. X breaking through the wall for the first time, and it has that tension, it has that survival horror energy that I'm very, very much looking forward to. Of course, I'm still bummed out that it's not getting the physical release on day one. I hope that they change their mind on that eventually. I have a tough time paying, $60 for a digital game. I know most people don't give a shit about that at all, but personally, I have a tough time with that. But yeah, October 17th will be the release date for Alan Wake 2, and perfect timing, of course, for the Halloween season. And yeah, I'm very, very much looking forward to it. I do really hope they change their mind about that physical release, because I just don't see myself buying it digitally for $60. But we'll see. I've been impulsive in my purchasing decisions before, so I'm not committing to that fully. But we then move on into Warhammer Space Marine 2, and this was maybe the most, outside of Sandland, I'll say this was the most shocking twist I've ever had, or not ever had, but this was the most shocking twist I had at this showcase, where I have no interest in Warhammer whatsoever, don't care about Warhammer, have no knowledge of it, just no interest. And this fucking Gears of War-esque nature for Space Marine 2 looked so brutal, so fun. Like, I started debating, man, should I go back and check out this Warhammer Space Marine 1 game? Because anything associated with Warhammer, I just avoid, because I'm like, I don't know anything about this lore. I don't know anything about these worlds. I just have no idea what these games are. But looking at this, I was like, shit, dude. If I could go back and just play the first game and be caught up to speed going into Space Marine 2, I think I'll do that, because it just looks fun, brutal, third person, gory as shit. Like, it's totally up my alley. The only thing for me that would keep me off of this game, keep me from playing it, is if I have to know more Warhammer lore. If I can just play the Space Marine 1, I'll happily do that and then jump into Warhammer Space Marine 2. But yeah, the only thing I'll say is the gameplay looked a little bit choppy. I don't know if that was the stream I was watching, or if it was just, if those games have a reputation of being a little bit finicky at times. I do know that I believe some of the RPGs have a reputation of not quite being technical powerhouses, but I don't know. I thought, at least from a visual perspective, this thing looked fucking excellent. So yeah, Warhammer Space Marine 2, that was a shocking turn of events in my brain. I think I might check this thing out. Next up, we have John Carpenter working with Focus Home and Saber Interactive on a game called Toxic Commando. And when you first see John Carpenter, and you're thinking, oh shit, John Carpenter getting into the game business. Yeah. Toxic Commando is seemingly a first-person zombie slaughtering, first-person shooter with some cooperative elements going on. You got some driving, you're driving around and blowing shit up, maybe a little bit of an open-world adventure that you're going on, but yeah, it seems like there's next to no narrative attached to this thing at all. I'd like to be surprised on this, but this seems very similar to what was it? George R.R. Martin with working with FromSoft. Like, yeah, I designed a couple things, gave a couple details for the lore of this game, and then yeah, you can now attach my name to it. But yeah, Toxic Commando. We then move into Baldur's Gate 3, and we got a trailer showing Jason Isaacs from the Patriot and Harry Potter, and he is going to be one of the main antagonists for Baldur's Gate 3. He'll be joining J.K. Simmons, another big name actor in Baldur's Gate 3 as one of the main antagonists. So I'm very much looking forward to Baldur's Gate 3. I do think this will be one that I check out day one. Once again, I don't know if it's getting a physical release, and that would be the only thing that would put me off of it. But I think that this game's going to sell like hotcakes, launching on consoles, and for the first time, if I'm not mistaken. I think actually there was like a package release for Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 that came to PS4 and Xbox One, if I'm not mistaken. But, launching day and date for the first time on consoles. I think this will be huge. I know that Larian, people, consider them to be in that BioWare realm for giving you these branching narratives with tons of decision making and tons of options there. I really do want to check this out. I hope it gets a physical release though. Moving on into Spider-Man 2, we got a release date for Spider-Man 2, and it really makes you scratch your head why this couldn't have been at the PlayStation Showcase, but okay. We had a release date here for October 20th, 2023, and we also had this fucking badass image of Venom battling Miles and Peter in midair, and yeah, the image alone looked really fucking cool. Wasn't a ton here. I believe the director came out and spoke about Spider-Man 2 for a little bit, talking about, the different powers and what's going to separate it from the original. And yeah, look, I'm there for Spider-Man 2 day one without a shadow of a doubt. But, October 20th, 2023, I think that's exciting news. I do very much think it's weird that this wasn't announced at the PlayStation Showcase, but sure. Moving on into Palworld, this little Pokemon-like game, but you got Pokemon-looking characters with guns. Looks silly. Obviously not going to be for me, but for people who want Pokemon that runs a little bit smoother, runs a little bit better, hey, and you want to throw a gun into the mix, I guess Palworld might be right up your alley. And then we have Black Desert, and this is available June 14th. And I think this is some sort of online MMO style game. I get these. I believe there's a Crimson Desert game that is more of like a single player open world style title. And then Black Desert, I think, is something different. But yeah, it's I don't know. Coming June 14th. Then we had Lord of the Rings Return of Moria. Not a Lord of the Rings guy. I apologize. But this looks like a little kind of mobile game with some combat encounters and some building elements going on, and sure, for Lord of the Ring fans who want to build up some shit and run around in a mobile game. I don't even know if it is a mobile game, just kind of looked like one, but yeah, Lord of the Rings Return to Moria. And then we move into another mobile game, Final Fantasy Ever Crisis. So sure. And then we have, I'm curious about this next game. I think I would still say Sandland is my game of the show, but my game of the show that I'm most curious to see more of is Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. First look at gameplay that we have had for this game. I believe it got revealed last year at the Game Awards, and it's coming from Don't Nod, and it's going to be, their more action, adventure, role-playing approach, similar to Vampire, a game that I really enjoyed from Don't Nod. And this trailer here I thought was good, not quite great. The combat, I do have a few concerns with the combat looking a little bit wonky. You saw some magical powers and shit going on, and you also saw some decision making taking place, saving someone or killing someone, having the choices there for you. And that is the thing I really enjoy about Vampire and just these style of games in general, the decision making, the emphasis on the narrative. But that combat, I'm very, very skeptical of the combat. The cinematics look fantastic. I think the story should probably be great. I need to see a little bit more on that combat. It's still saying it's going to launch by the end of 2023. I would not be surprised at all if that gets pushed back until, early to mid 2024. And then moving on into another big announcement, Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. Obviously, this shit looks excellent. It's they opened up into this more casino, Las Vegas-y style world with a bunch of looks like gambling districts and shit, with a big bad sitting on top of the hill, sitting in the throne. Just a real cool setup there. Obviously, more in the action oriented style of combat that you would expect from your traditional Yakuza games. And yeah. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. And then next up we had Under the Waves. And I don't know what I'm mistaking here, but I thought that this was being published by Quantic Dreams. I might be thinking of an entirely different game, but this looked really good. It's like this narrative-driven underwater adventure that's taking place, and the voice acting was really solid. The entire trailer was really, really good, really compelling. It's something that I will absolutely be keeping my eye on. And then we had Call of Duty Season 4, and then we had Fae Farm coming to PC, and then we had Marvel Snap Conquest Mode, and then we had a, oh my god, man, just a unbelievably bad trailer for Twisted Metal, the TV show. Like it unbelievably bad to a degree that's shocking. The dialogue here was so rough, and I don't even know what to say. It shows like a battle going on inside of this casino, and Anthony Mackie is battling Sweet Tooth, and Sweet Tooth like smashes his head up against a slot machine, and the back and forth banner that takes place there is so bad. Okay, well, moving on. It was rough. I highly recommend watching the trailer just to see how fucking rough that was. We then had Lens Fanga, the time shift warrior, more of like a, top-down isometric-esque RPG of sorts, I think. I don't know. Immortals of Avium, the EA published title that was, I think it's launching in July, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, July 20th. This game looks good. It looks very, very good. The story sounds intriguing from the setup here, but the gameplay that was shown off looked excellent, looked unbelievable in this trailer. The scale of this game in this trailer, very, very, very impressive. I'm thinking I might be there for this day one. I'm craving a return to those, old school first person shooter linear campaigns. I don't know the nature of this game's world. I don't know if it's going to be expansive and explorable and mildly open world. I really don't know what they have going on in that department. I kind of hope it's not. I hope that you're just running around in some cool ass, first person shooting magical battles that are taking place with a bunch of cool ass powers and just a fast paced, frenetic fucking, first person shooter action game. Like that's what I'm hoping for more than anything here. But yeah, the world shots here, and then just this like big ass, I don't even know what the hell you call it, but you're on this like big ass ship mech looking thing, and he's like guiding you across the water while you're battling. It's all taking place at the same time, and it's like one of those moments that you have to do a double take and be like, am I seeing this correctly? It looks really, really cool just from an environmental design level. So yeah, Immortals of Avium, July 20th. And then moving on, we had Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 3 with Cybertron from the Transformers. But then we move on to the big dog of the showcase, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I definitely did not expect to see this here. I would have once again expected to see this at the PlayStation showcase, with it being exclusive to the PlayStation 5. Very, very bizarre for it to pop up here, but I'm damn excited that it did. This trailer that was shown off was fantastic. Tons of gameplay shown off here. Tons of gameplay. Tons of environmental shots. A good Sephiroth trailer going on, diving a little bit more into that story. And just I loved the first game. I'm there day one for this. Any of the Final Fantasy fast-paced, more action-oriented combat systems, I'll be there checking those games out on day one. This looks tremendous. The enemy variety that was on display in this trailer looked tremendous. It also was announced that it's going to be releasing on 2 discs, and it's still committing to that early 2024 launch window. So Final Fantasy is stacked for the time being, with 16 launching in just a couple weeks, Rebirth launching early 2024. So Final Fantasy fans are eating good. Also with Crisis Core that launched late last year. So definitely a good time to be a Final Fantasy fan. So let's go through and I guess before we move on to my, prediction results, going through and putting a final grade on this thing, I think it was okay. So I think I'll say a C minus showcase. I don't think it was bad. I wasn't like offended to have watched that show for 2 hours. Wasn't a ton there that was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing this. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth might take it from a D plus to a, hell, man, I don't know. It might be a straight up C just for that Final Fantasy VII trailer alone. That was a really, really good trailer, one that I was not expecting at all. Spider-Man 2 getting the release date here, that's a big shock. This Sandland game I just thought looked fucking incredible. A deeper dive into Alan Wake 2, getting a Lies of P release date, Mortal Kombat 1, more information on that, the surprise of Prince of Persia. Like, there's some good shit here. So maybe, maybe just a straight up C. I'm thinking somewhere in that C minus range. I don't think the grade really matters at all. We're just talking about a showcase here, and obviously all of this is fucking mood dependent anyway, but I didn't, I wasn't hating myself after watching this going, damn, I wasted 2 hours. I thought it was decent enough, maybe with one or two more big announcements. I think that could have taken it to the next level. But Keighley had a great Game Awards showcase for 2022. And I know he's doing Gamescom in August, so that's another big showcase that you're having to kind of pick and choose what goes where. And then with the Game Awards in December, it's a lot. You know what I mean? It's a lot in a 6-month window. And trying to save certain things for certain events. I could see that maybe being a possible reality that he faces when trying to organize these events. So look, I didn't think it was an incredible showcase at all, but I didn't think it was disastrous. I would say C minus in that range. All right, and now let's get into my prediction results here. Definitely a poor performance, which I'm never going to do good with any of these damn predictions. It's just for the love of the game, for the fun of it. I'm not an insider at all, just someone speculating on the internet about what we could be seeing at these damn showcases. But we also keep in mind that I predicted this before the PlayStation Showcase. So some of these things I probably wouldn't have predicted if I saw the PlayStation Showcase. But kind of going right off into that, Immortals of Avium was my first prediction, and I definitely would not have predicted that to show back up again after watching the PlayStation Showcase. So I don't know. Modern Warfare 3 did not pop up. Tomb Raider did not pop up. Armored Core 6 did not pop up. Street Fighter 6 did pop up. Cyberpunk DLC didn't pop up. The Plucky Squire didn't pop up. Once again, that's one that I probably wouldn't have predicted if I had watched the PlayStation Showcase before making these predictions. Angerfoot didn't pop up. Illusion Island didn't pop up. Banishers did pop up. Ghost of New Eden. Remnant 2 did pop up. Baldur's Gate 3 did pop up. Oxenfree 2 did not pop up. Valiant Hearts did not pop up. Crimson Desert was a no-show. Time Splitters was a no-show. Twisted Metal TV, that did pop up. Jet Set Radio did not pop up. Persona 3 did not pop up. Final Fantasy 16 didn't show up. Techland's new IP didn't show up, but their DLC for Dying Light 2 or whatever the fuck they had going on did pop up. Avatar didn't show up, so I guess they're saving that for the Ubisoft Forward. I would think that they would have, incorporated that here in the same way they did like the Annapurna Interactive to announce that the showcase was coming up. But yeah, that kind of does surprise me. Wonder Woman didn't show up. Starfield didn't show up. I figured Starfield would be a similar thing where, it's just like, hey, we got our Xbox showcase on June 11th, followed by the Starfield Direct. Come and watch it there, and just had like a quick glimpse at Starfield here. That was kind of what I was expecting, but that did not take place either. And then Kingdom Hearts 4, that was probably the wildest prediction of all of them, did not show up. So, look, here's the thing. Like I said, setting my expectations for the PlayStation Showcase, I think I was totally fair in those expectations. These expectations, this isn't even expectations. This is just throwing out fucking wild predictions. Like, none of this is fair at all for Keighley. You know what I mean? He has no involvement in the first party going ons with these studios and shit. So it's like, I can't hold my predictions as expectation weight for what should be delivered on this showcase. I think you can do that for Xbox. I think you can do that for PlayStation. You can't really do that for Summer Game Fest. I know, look, you're demanding 2 hours of someone's time, so you have to kind of bring the goods. But I think this showcase was good enough for me to where I'll hop back in next year and watch it. And if it's of this quality, I won't be bummed out by wasting 2 hours of my time watching a showcase like this. It was good enough, but nothing that blew me away. Yeah, I guess that's kind of my roundabout thoughts on the entire showcase. I think I still would, like I said, I'd stick with a C minus for this show. Overall, not too bad. By the way, stay locked in, subscribe if you enjoy the content, because we have a lot of good shit in the works. Sunday, June 11th, I will be reviewing the Xbox Showcase and the Starfield Direct here on the channel, going through everything that was announced, similar to how I did it here. Obviously, I'm quite a bit more invested in that. Like I said, I'm a lot more invested in these PlayStation showcases and these Xbox showcases. I do have some pretty high expectations for that Xbox showcase, so we'll see if it lives up to my expectations. But I'm very, very excited for that, so stay tuned. That will be available on the channel June 11th. So I appreciate y'all for stopping by. Gonna try to get this edited up quick and get it out to you tonight. And yeah, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Hit me in the comments with your thoughts on the showcase overall. And yeah, man, take it easy. And I will see you guys in a few days. Sunday, Xbox Showcase. Subscribe if you enjoy the content. Appreciate you. See you soon. Goodbye.